welcome to another episode of the Dragon Yawn. I'm Sifu Mike, and I'm obviously not coming from Tactical Kung Fu, Mixed Martial Arts in Durham. I'm actually coming from High Point University at a KOA martial arts event, and with me today is this guy. And you probably already know who this guy is, but before we get into all the little nitty-gritty details, I need
Hello, I'm Sifu Al, coming from, I don't know where I'm at.
That's just true. We kind of fly around everywhere, and we're like, all right, dude, teach. And he's like, I got this. Okay, so a little housekeeping. I'm using a very sensitive microphone, all right? And so, oh, by the way, this is the first video podcast that I'm doing in front of a audience, all right? So everybody here, put your hands together, let people know that they are here. I'm not making this up. There's actually people here, all right? They're not here to see me. They're here to see him, all right? So like I said, I have a very sensitive microphone. It's going to be able to pick me up, pick him up, and stuff like that. But also pick up all of you guys, which means you need to be quiet, because if you pass gas, this thing will pick you up, all right? Okay, and you don't want the entire internet to know that you farted. And so,
Beep!
that's true. Magical editing, right? So, anyways, that being said, he's going to be doing a lot of talking. I'm obviously going to be doing some talking, so try not to talk while we're talking, and just, listen and learn and have fun. That's the whole point. But do laugh if he says something funny or if I say something funny. I try to be funny, right? Anyways, so KOA event. KOA stands for Kajukenbo Ohana Association. That is where we're at. That's what we're doing. We've all been training and doing seminars for the last couple of days, and it's been awesome. And hanging out with people, hanging out with him, hanging out with all the grandmasters and masters. It's been phenomenal. And what KOA stands for is Kajukenbo Ohana Association. Kajukenbo being the first American mixed martial art. Ohana meaning family, and association meaning there's a lot of us. And so Ohana is there it is, right? I'm looking at
What? You're screwing up my language?
Am I screwing?
Anyway,
I've only
okay,
got
we're talking about the word Ohana.
Ohana. Yeah, I've only got the one language, and I can't spell half of it and can't pronunciate the other half, so I'm really at a disadvantage.
You want me to elaborate on that?
Yes, elaborate on
Ohana means
Ohana.
family. Some people, you watch certain Hawaiian comic strip, they always say, no one left behind. Ohana, okay, family. But we use the word KOA. KOA, I already explained it to you, the Kajukenbo Ohana Association, but KOA is also a Hawaiian word for warrior, but it is also a word that we represent the hard wood, because we have a KOA wood, which is hard, and this is how we make Hawaiian weapons, because we didn't have metals. It was wood, bone, or seashells, or things that way. So, the Hawaiian KOA wood is very strong and really dense, and that was shaped into a metal. So we use the word KOA, So when we say KOA Ohana, then we're using two Hawaiian words, warrior, family, you see. But if we take it longer, then it means the, Kajukenbo Ohana Association. Hawaiian word. And since we get into the word Hawaiian word, just don't screw it up, okay? Because Hawaii is actually, you have the Ha means breath of life, Wa means water, I means from God. So when you say Hawaii, that means water and air, or air and water from God. That's why we call it paradise, because it's clean water. So people when you say Hawaiian people, they're very spiritual, because they believe in, clean water, clean air, and that is what makes paradise, and it's beautiful as Hawaii.
Now, You told me a very interesting story on the subject of Hawaii. This guy.
Oh,
so,
Shaka.
Yeah.
All right. And Shaka comes from a lot of things, but it is it's like that happens way back in the 1920s, when I think this guy's name was Kamahili. He was a plantation worker in the sugarcane fields. He was also a tour guide, that having tourists coming to, come on, follow me. We're going to show you the plantation, and that's his daytime job. At nighttime, he was one that take the sugarcane and put it into the feeder. Take the sugarcane, put it in the feeder, big sugarcane feeder, And when he did that one there, he cut the 3 fingers off the feeder. So, you know, like he always used to say, people come inside, you know, he don't have that. So he said, come in, you know, and that became that one because the fingers was cut off, you know what I mean? But some people say it's for call me up later, you know, but no, is that, well, sometimes you think I'm bullshitting, right? No, it's really real. What happened, his finger was cut off. So that's why you have the word Shaka. It's like this in here, you know. And it was really made more popular during the first Gulf War, because the Hawaiians were over there, you know. Then you had a lot of Hawaiians on the you know, Bradley tanks and everything, and they were passing, you know, they were doing this and here, and people caught on. Hey, what are you doing? You know, some people say it was a sign for victory, but it was not. You know what I mean? Some people say it was a misinterpretation of the Longhorn, you know, but no, you know, it's just a way of just, you know, some people say, call me up later, okay? Nah, I just, hi, take it easy, how you doing?
It's also the letter Y in sign language.
Was that?
In sign language, yeah, there's that too. It's got a whole lot of uses.
Yeah, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah.
So, the idea of this podcast is that we're going to do kind of a Q&A deal. But first, because everyone in this room knows who you are, a lot of people who are watching know who you are. But there are probably some people who are like, who is this person? So if you can elaborate, we all affectionately refer to you as Sifu. You are a senior grandmaster of Wun Hop Kuen Do in the Kajukenbo branch. And so let's have a little bit of your resume as far as why you're such a huge deal for those people who are maybe on the young side who don't know you.
Oh, most of the young guys know my son more than they do me. Okay?
Yeah, I will say this. I was a fan of your son before I even started doing martial arts.
What was it?
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of the Crow TV series that he was in. So that's how I knew him originally. So when I found out that I was doing the same martial art that he was in, I was sold, man. And I've been in it for like a decade now.
Talking about my son Mark.
Yes.
Okay.
How many sons do you have?
You know, because there's several Dacascos around. You know what I mean? But my son was doing martial arts since he was 3 years old. But he became more popular because when the movie Only the Strong came out, I think it was in the 90s, early 90s. You know, and he made capoeira where it is today. If it was not for Mark, capoeira would not be in every city, major city in the world today. It would just primarily be in small sections. When he did Only the Strong, you know, and did capoeira, I mean, it became just among the martial arts, it became something that almost every city started to have. You can go into, like for instance, in Hamburg, Germany, you know, and that's where Mark grew up, you know. And then we have a student by the name of Emmanuel Betancourt that does that there, capoeira. You know, we were the first one to bring it there, but now you've got 20 or 30 capoeira schools scattered all over the place in one city. Or you can go into Russia or Leningrad. You can go into Beijing or you know, in Tokyo, Japan. They've got capoeira schools. You see what I mean? He brought it out. Now they're planning on doing I don't know if I should say this. Yeah. Okay, it doesn't matter. They're planning on doing a television series. Whether that works or not, I don't know.
That's
That's 20
NDA,
years
right?
ago. You see what I mean? So when they see that on there, they come up to me and says, you do capoeira? No, I don't. You know, I actually learned capoeira afterwards because Mark, you know, was doing it, and he was so natural doing it, capoeira, that I'll tell you how it came about. This one it came about because Mark had auditioned for a movie. There was a kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme, you know, and it was something that Mark was so good that the lead actor never wanted him on there because it would have upstaged him. Okay, so what happened to Mark never did it, and but the director and the writer kept thinking about Mark in the future. So when that capoeira came out, you know, Only the Strong, you know, he wanted to, well, let's see, let's get Mark doing it. But Mark had gymnastic background, and he had the martial arts background. So anytime that you show him one time, he's got that photogenic mind. He's just gonna bam, just do it, you know. And it was really easy for him to do all those things and then improve upon it, because some of the things that he did, like just spinning around, that's not really in the capoeira movement. It came because of gymnastics, you see. So that one, it combines. So people start putting it in, you know. And then you see people doing break dancing. It came from capoeira. So people seeing that movement, they say, wow. And that's how it got more popular with him. When they ask me about it, yeah, I can do the jingle, I can do all this kind of movements. It's only because after I see, you know, I learn from my son. And my son and I has a relationship, right? Me and him. I teach him. He goes up, he teaches me. We go up, and up. We're not holding each other down, you know, because I think the job of a father is to, you know, to teach your child as much as possible, so you can, so I can actually kick him out of the house, you know, and therefore, you know, he does well, then he pulls me up, you know, and I have that kind of philosophy when I teach, you know, because there are a lot of teachers that will hold back 10% of what they're teaching. And if that teacher teaches his student just because he becomes an educator, which is the 24/7, then the influence is always generations down. I hold back 10%, 10%. Later on, you know, nine generation down, the guy's only got 10% he's teaching because everybody's back holding back. I don't do that, you know. I influence my student to go out and learn, come back and show me, and we improve. And this is why what I do, the fourth section of Kajukenbo, the Wun Hop Kuen Do section has improved, is because there's nothing held back. There's no secret in poking the eyes out. I mean, even a baby does that. Ah, baby! And then you know. I mean, one time I was down cleaning something on the floor, and I had my Great Dane was wagging the tail. You know, I took my eyes out. I mean, I'm not took my eyes out, but you know what I'm talking about. You see what I mean? So it's all the kind of movements. I mean, whether you call it Great Dane, Tiger Strike, tail, whatever. You know, a poke to the eye is a poke to the eye. It doesn't matter what name you call it. You know, whether it's swipe. You see what I mean? Because we all have different interpretations on it. How do we get into that subject?
I asked you about you, man. You started talking about your son.
Yeah,
which
okay,
is
I'm sorry.
fine.
Go ahead.
He's
Go ahead.
a proud father, man. So,
Okay, cool.
yeah, so I just asked a little bit about your martial art pedigree, and you gave us that. And really, one of the things I wanted to ask is just how long you've been doing martial arts.
Let me just tell you that we're all gifted. We're born with it. We come out, you know. You notice a baby, when he comes out, he's already kicking and punching. Yeah, and he's already KI. Yeah, that's all it is. It's only when we die do we let it out, and there's no more KI. Okay? But as long as you're coming out of the womb, you already got this. It's just that now we get to be reprogrammed on where we're striking and kicking. Okay? So that part was already initiated when I was born in there. But to really compute it, you know, it came by just the circle of influence. You know, my dad, my mom, whatever I saw there was a striking techniques I was doing, and their background. Sometimes when people see me doing my movements, you know, and why I call it Wun Hop Kuen Do, even if I have all the influence, it was because that my parents, we lived on the island of Kauai when I grew up. And this island of Kauai, we had camps. What happened was my grandfather was immigrant from the Philippines, and my grandmother from Mongolia. So they met up there. So I had Chinese and Filipino art. So they would practice, you know. I never knew what it was, but I would see my granddad with, you know, working in the sugarcane field, banging, cutting with the bolo knife and everything. But every time in the morning, the group would practice outside in an open field, practicing it, and I would pick the whole thing up and just kind of do it. And the movements that I do, it influenced me into do what I do today. So all my elbows and knees is basically influenced by the Filipino martial arts. That's the background. Because when I did competition in tournaments, and when I started to do my techniques, even the Kung Fu people would say, well, that's not, you know, I can see the Kung Fu part of it, but it's not, it's something else. Well, I didn't know. It's just something that was just in me, because I see the way that they move. you know. In the Filipino, you put a glass in your hand, you practice this, and you come up like that, and I was doing the whole thing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but it was all hits. The way that you move, every movement you were doing was striking, no matter what, in or out. There was no gaps, and that became my philosophy. How you put inside the buzzsaw, cut it, everything moving in. You see, because my background. So when people say, Wun Hop Kuen Do, what is it? When you talk about it's a combination mixed martial arts. That's all it is, an expression. There's another interpretation if you call it into, and I also explained to it. You call it a different name in Mandarin, but the Wun Hop Kuen Do is a Chinese name of what it is, like Cantonese way. Mandarin, I forgot how it's pronounced. But it's the same. You know what I mean? So in that essence, when people ask me what I do, I says I do jazz. Period. That's all.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so that'll be a nice segue into, we're going to do some Q&A, right? I'm going to ask some questions. I already got 3, and we're going to start with my question, because my show, right? That's a priority here, all right? And specifically, we're going to ask that you limit your questions to ones that are not already answered by this book. And if you haven't gotten this book, you totally should get this book. It's a really good read, and it has pictures. And I'm one of those persons that I need a book that has pictures to help me read, because that's why I'm making videos. I'm not one for the reading. Sorry, Robert. He's our resident author. We got a huge mix of people here, but like I said, this is his book, Legacy. You can find it on Amazon and Amazon. Yeah, or wherever books are sold. And so, if it's answered in this, we're going to say, hey, buy the book, and then we'll move on, right? But I was just going to say, actually, since we have another author here, this is the KOA event being a very much mixed. We have a whole lot of different martial arts represented here, because it's not just the Kajukenbo. We've got some Taekwondo, we've got some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we've got karate, we've got everything. We even got a couple of arts that might be made up, like the Kung Fu facepalm style. Okay, Robert happens to be a master of that, and so he's not just an author who he writes, like, he's over there facepalming now. So he's not just an author that writes about fictional stuff like that, and then the mass migration and the extinction of hair follicles. But he is also a master of the facepalm style. I'm only making fun of your haircut because you do it first. That's the thing, is that, and the rest of them don't even know if they should laugh or not. But yes, you totally can. He did this first. That's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm making fun of that. So, yeah, so we have a whole lot of things. I just wanted to get that joke out there. Now on to the actual...
You totally confused me.
I know. Well, see, the thing is, I had to go over your head to get to him. He's right over there.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Every podcast, I take a jab at Robert, because, he's a good sport. He gets them back at me as well.
Okay.
What do I do?
Huh?
What do I do?
You're a wizard of words.
What word?
And
The bird.
Huh?
The bird.
Oh, the bird.
The bird is the word.
How did the bird get into here?
Moving on. All right, so I have a very important question, because the whole premise of this podcast really is not just interviewing awesome martial artists like yourself, but talking about martial arts in pop culture, and you are in pop culture, and you do martial arts, and so a very important question and topic for me is your time on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. And I know about that because it's in this book, all right? But I'm not going to ask him stuff that he talked about in this book. I'm going to ask him a little bit about his time in movies and doing martial arts, because it is very clear. I mean, in the credits of that film, if you watch it, they credit a guy named Pat Johnson with having done martial arts. And the thing is, I'm a fan of Pat. Pat pretty much has done the martial art choreography for every single martial art movie, for the most part, that came out in like the 80s and 90s. Like, he was on the main fight choreographer for Karate Kid, which is, he happens to be wearing the shirt from that Cobra Kai.
Right.
And so, yeah, exactly. So it's all comes full circle, right? And
Sweep the leg.
exactly. And so he's listed as having done that, but like I feel like fighting styles are like fingerprints, and when I watch that, I'm not seeing him. I'm seeing the stuff that you do. I mean, at one point there was a girl who freaking like palm heel strike a dude in the throat, and actually did a technique that I think Sandos, wherever he's at, you're right in front of me. I should see that. He actually covered that the other day, and I'm like, dude, this is like that's straight up. That's you and everything in there, and not necessarily his background. And so
For the Mutant Ninja.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles
yeah.
3. They had some of the best martial art weapons work of that entire franchise.
Mm.
And I know like weapons are kind of your thing as well. And so I wanted to ask about your time, what it was like on the set and doing that and really kind of, I mean, I know back in the day, a lot of people who worked on movies don't get credit for it. Nowadays, you can do anything. You can step on a set and they'll give you a credit for just being there. So I know there's a lot of people that work on it, but why was it that he was listed and you weren't listed with him?
Well, you know, there's a stunt coordinator and a fight choreographer. Okay, the stunt coordinator was doing stunts. Can be anything. It can be from just walking to shoving to falling against that. You know, that's a stunt. He was in charge of all of that. My part was fight choreographer, putting the fight together. And when you say choreography, then it's a fight dance. Everything is planned out just like a dance. You see what I mean? So, you know, when he asked me that, you know, he needed to have people, then we put the word out in Portland, Oregon, that we were doing the, you know, the Mutant Ninja Turtle, and I had hundreds of people show up into my school, just lined up way outside, and we were on the board just interviewing every single person out there. You see, but being that this is supposed to be Japan, we went with people with Asian, you know, looking eyes. You know what I mean? And if you didn't have that, you wasn't on the set.
Oh, right.
So we had to do that because we had to do it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But then we needed guys that were pirates, so we needed white guys too. You see what I mean? So we had this one here. You're interviewing for this.
Wait. Where's your white guy impersonation?
Right here.
Right, so anyway, yeah, we did the interviews for the pirates, and we did the interviews for the samurai warriors and all of that. And you know, they did their interviews, and if they had any kind of martial arts skills, you know, we put them in. Some of them didn't have that martial arts skill, but they had the look, so we just taught them basic things because they were background action. That's all we're extras, you see what I mean? So yeah, we had a lot of fun just doing that. You know, I almost died on that one too.
Yeah,
you know?
that's gonna lead to my next question. This is actually the first question. It's gonna be about the medical experience and overcoming type of medical adversity. And if you read his book, right, he talks about how he got in an accident on set. You were trampled by a horse, right? And so,
yeah.
so how did that affect like your training going forward? And how did your training help with you going forward as well? Because I personally see martial arts as like extreme physical therapy, and I know I'm not alone in that. And so is that mental aspect? Is that part of
Well,
the
it comes
process?
all into play. You get basic, you know, you got your mind, body, spirit, you know. So when my body got hit by the horse, you know, it was just survival already. That means, you know, psychological, my spirit and everything, you know, because let me just take it back. We were doing a fight scene on an open field, and I was, I don't know whether I was a bandit or one of the samurais, but anyway, the fight was going on the field, and the horse is following a path, and I'm here fighting, so the horse is supposed to pass by, but they had so much smoke on the field, and it covered up the vision of the horse. So instead of going straight, he veered off and hit me. Boom! I went flying, and then the horse panicked. But when he came down, he was on top of me, trampling, and I was just covering. And you know, if one would have got me, he hit me here, and he hit me here, just all glancing. all glancing when he went stomping down. You saw what I mean? And I just laid there. I said, man, you can't do nothing because I didn't know what it was coming down because everything went, you know. And we had that fake shields, you know,
Right.
instead of having that metal, you know, it was all plastic and everything. So it just went. I ended up with a big bruise here and big one here. And, you know, the TriStar kind of panicked because, you know, it wasn't supposed to happen. I ended up in the hospital and everything else, recovering and everything. But yeah, and that was scary because as I saw and I looked up, all I could see the like that just coming down and just covering and everything, and a big bruise on my leg and everything, and yeah, it was scary. You know what I mean? But the horse when and he backed off because he knew he was too much smoke. You know, too much smoke. I could only see it this far when he came down. From that, he couldn't. You know, so I don't know. Just the way it happened. You know, but yeah, so it physically hurt me, but more so, I wanted to get back on the set. You know, so my spirit was that I got to get back, man. I'm gonna fix that horse. But, you know what I mean? So it was that type of spirit. I would say still yet. You know, you're not putting me out of this fight, horse or not. You know what I mean? Which was interesting because my my horse, my Chinese astrological sign is a horse anyway. You see what I mean? So it was like that. Okay, horse to horse. Okay, we went back. So it's the spirit of coming back. You know, my mental state of mind, my physical body. You know, is just up, and that's the same way about life. You know, because actually, when you get into the martial arts, your primary goal, aside from fighting, is only the physical part. The character part is what the other part is character building. You see, how can you be a better person in yourself? Because the true person you're fighting is, you see them every day in the morning. First thing you get in the morning, you look in the mirror, brush your teeth. When it's nighttime, same thing, you look at yourself. So you get up and you look at yourself, say, I'm going to be a good man. You go back and look at yourself at night, was I a good man? So, you know, it's subconsciously, that's your day.
By the way, guys, there's a mirror right here.
Yeah, that's how I'm
Yeah,
kind of
he's,
looking.
he's looking at himself, literally, as he's making that analogy. What's funny is that my Chinese symbol is a rat. So I'm like, that can trample me all the time. I'll be fine.
I told you guys he's going to be doing a lot of talking.
Well, my podcast. And so,
Okay.
like I said, I was telling them before, I was like, I like the sound of my voice, man. I'll keep talking for days, man. I made like a 20-minute video of just me talking, like the last episode. And so, another question again. You had mentioned restaurant work and cooking and spices and everything, and so the question is there, what other skills do you possess that are beneficial to martial arts?
Oh, you're talking about spices and cooking?
I'm just talking about like other skills in general that some people might not think this would relate to, but I mean, the human body can only move so many
I was
different
just giving
ways.
an example.
Yes.
With example, you know, because and I said it to you guys, you know, I might have 36 different spices, you know, but I'm only making scrambled eggs, you know. For me, the scrambled eggs is just going to be with salt and pepper, so I'm putting that in. You know, I'm not going to put the entire all 36 spices inside because then I don't have any scrambled eggs anymore. You know what I mean? So when I'm thinking about the 36 spices, let's say that there's 36 different type of techniques I may use. So when I'm making the scrambled eggs, you know, I'm using 2 spices, not all everything. I could, you know, but then you're not going to look like scrambled eggs anymore. You know, you're going to probably look like hamburger.
Yeah. I mean, and I guess following that analogy is that you could have the best recipe on the planet, but if you're a crappy cook, you're going to make crappy food. So you have to be good at what you're doing and not just straight memorizing.
Not overdo.
Not overdo.
Enough.
Not overseason it kind of thing. And so cooking, I guess, relates very well as far as
You
like,
could.
the mental
That could be in
aspect.
anything you do.
Yeah.
You know, anything you do. You know. So.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that's my question. That's the questions from my students. We're going to open it up to you guys. And like I said, the microphone should be able to pick you up wherever you're at. I will be sure to repeat whatever you say, just so we can make sure that it's on record. So anybody would like to ask Sifu Al a question? Anybody like to ask me? I mean, I'm here. No?
So Sifu Al, out of all your wives, which one was your favorite?
Oh no. Maybe we should.
Oh, was that off limits?
Hey,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's in the book. Get the book.
It's in
That-
the book.
Yeah.
Read the book.
All right,
You go to
okay.
Amazon.
You don't have to answer that.
You know, no, I can't. Real simple. You know, that would be the answer would come in two different ways. Yeah.
Talking about wives, guys.
You know, perspective and sensibility. Okay, it depends on views because you know, sometimes when people ask me, I have to think because my pastor told me that I could be a good marriage counselor on account that because of the times I've been involved or married, I can actually look at you and I say, well, okay, the problem you have is like number 6 wife. That would be like number 3 wife, and I could talk about it. You know, of course, my wives don't want to hear that because they want to know what number they were. You know what I mean? So.
I just love the fact that Robert's also in my eye line, and he's like been face palming the entire episode. This is great. This is just like when he's sitting next to me. He's face palming almost the entire episode, and so, yeah. I mean, I can keep talking, guys. Give me this. We got one right here.
Yeah, I have a question. So, we try to live our lives without regrets. We're happy where we are, and we're here today because of all the different paths that we took, decisions that we made. But if I were to ask, what is maybe the one thing that, looking back at your own experience and your history, what is the one thing that maybe you thought or you wish you had done differently, or an opportunity maybe that you missed, or something that, what would that thing, if you have,
So he.
or if you can,
You want to repeat
So,
it?
so yeah. So what he's asking is, what's the one thing you wish you could have done differently in life? You know, hindsight is always 20/20. There's always something that we can always do better. In my opinion, everything could be better. Everything could be worse. So how you look at it. Is there one specific thing throughout all of your experience that, if you could, you would change it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing, right? It
I
could
would-
just be something different.
I wouldn't necessarily change it because if I were to change it, then I wouldn't have lived this long. You know, I thank God every morning. You know, I'm still here. You know, and to get up to the age that I'm at, had I changed or done something else, perhaps my life would have been much more shorter. You know
You're
what I mean?
50, right?
Huh?
You're 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
14
Yeah, at a certain age you started counting backwards.
Yeah. Especially when you get to be 100, then you go 101, 102. You know, then it's 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. Not yet. You know what's so strange is that the average American male lives to be 78 years old. Yeah, that's the average. And I had my examination last week, and because I was really worried about that, and he said, "Yeah, okay, you know, I'm 77." He said, "Well, you know, the average is 78," and I'm thinking, "Wow, it's fantastic." He said, "But I'm going to give you all kind of medication so you can get another 23 years." I said, "That's 100." I said, "It's pretty good." No, I don't know about medicine because I have a lot of friends that have over-medicated and they died anyway. So, you know, it all depends. It's perspective again.
Yeah. Does that answer your question, sir? Or?
Would I change?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's
it's
hard,
okay
you know what I
if
mean?
you can't think of anything.
Yeah, because if I were to change, then I wouldn't have all the beautiful children that I have from different wives.
Well, following that, is there one particular moment or event that you can look back on and that you're particularly happy? Like, is that like the turning point event that you're happy that and proud that happened? Basically, you know, pick your favorite kid.
Pick my what?
Favorite child,
Favorite?
kid.
Oh, they're all good. They're all special. And
Yeah.
they're all, you know,
They might all be watching.
you know, yeah, I mean, dang, you know, it would have been nice if they were from one mother, but I mean, they gave different personalities, you know what I mean? Because but yeah, they're really super kids, you know.
All right, Robert's got a question.
Who are you most tired of being mistaken for?
Oh my gosh. So the question is, if you haven't heard, is who's he most tired of being mistaken for?
Well, I don't know because every one of us in this here probably have 6 other individuals that look like us somewhere around the world.
Yeah, I look like everybody and nobody looks like me.
So I've been mistaken for some other people that say, oh, weren't you in the Philippines? I said no. I said, weren't you in Mongolia? No. Especially when Asian looking, right? So it's yeah, I don't know. That's a pretty nasty question, that one. Again. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering, because I've followed your career for years.
Okay.
Who was the most interesting or most difficult person that you had to spar competitively? Not a fight, but competition.
So the guys, the question is, in case you haven't heard it, is that throughout his years of sparring, who was the most difficult person to spar correctly,
Or interesting.
or interesting as far as like competitively speaking, not so
In the
much just
competitive
fighting.
or in the gym or what?
In competition.
And
In competition.
I would say that every single one of them, because they all presented different ways. Nobody was fighting the same way. When I fought Bill Wallace, I had to fight him a different way. Fighting Benny Urquidez, different way. Howard Jackson, a different way. Chuck Norris, a different way. It was all different because they all had this special techniques they were doing. But I would always make it a point to observe without observing. I would be looking there, but I'm watching the way that they're warming up or training, or just so that I can get idea. Or sometimes I would purposely be in the front of them, doing all my techniques, which is actually I wanted to prime into thinking that I was going to do that, but I didn't do it. It was just setting them up psychologically. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work. Because they were doing the same thing to me too. You see. So it was every single one of them was all of them were good. And that's yeah. You learn from them, and you try to figure it out. I mean, I think the first one that I ever fought that gave me the hardest time, and I can't even remember him, was a guy I had fought in Los Angeles. Because as a traditionalist, and I came and he taught me, and this is why my technique changed. From that point on, it changed. Because fighting from the Kempo style, we came up high like this. And also with a blend of Kung Fu, I was like this, right? So I came out and I was like this, and he came up different, this way, and he did a step cross side kick before I could put my hand down, hit me here, and I flew. And from that point on, my hands became that way, and that's why I showed you that way. This way, it's much more easier to block. And then I started to see Bruce Lee do the same thing. Why? Because he learned the same way I did. Your hands too high here, your hands are not going to move too quick. And when you got your hands here and looking down, your hands is already blocking the leg. You don't see the leg coming up. You put it down, you see the leg coming in. So it was more easier to do this than to block that way. So concepts of changing came from the first time. And every fight that I had analyzed on how to not make the same mistake. So the primary fighting stance that we use in Wun Hop Kuen Do is this high-low, instead of all that thing, because all this, shoulders down and everything, instead of this one here or moving back. It was much more easier to do that anyway. Somebody throw a stone at you, you automatically cover. So it was natural reflex that. And I think that the question, which is the hardest, that one was a learning experience. Bingo! Change it. You see? And that's how.
So sports, you either win or you learn. All right, so I think I am at time. This has been awesome. I can't thank you enough for being here. Have you guys enjoyed everything he said? Yeah. All right, folks at home, this has been another episode of the Dragon Yawn. And again, we're coming from a KOA event. We're going to have this every single year, as many times as the iPut will let us or whatever like that. It's been great. A collection of everybody get to talk to awesome people like this and masters and grandmasters, KOA Bit, Dragon Yawn. This has been great. You have been great. Thank you, sir. I can't thank you enough.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's still on?
Yes, it's still on. So talk about a mic drop of an ending, right? I was so caught up with that ending, with interviewing Sifu and the awesomeness that it was, that I totally forgot to tell you to like the video that you just saw, okay? Share it with people and subscribe, okay? I hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to have a whole lot more. I'm going to have a whole lot more at the very least, so make sure to subscribe, okay? Like, share, everything like that. Also, check me out at tkfmma.com. Also, you can find me in the social media sites. If you have a Facebook account, I'm on Facebook, Facebook/tkfmma, and on Instagram, Instagram/tkfmma, Twitter/tkfmma. They all have the common theme of TKFMMA, okay? So make sure to check us out on those things. Also, we're going to get a new KOA website up and going. When I get that going, I'm going to put a link in the description so you can go there, alright? Check them out and check all those things out and even register and stuff like that. Would be great. Also got another website called thedragonmethod.com where you can find all kinds of things about teaching martial arts and how to do different martial arts, all those things. I have big plans for that website, okay? But it's still in the beginning stages. So make sure to check out all that stuff, okay? Everything. Got a whole bunch of things for you to click on the interwebs. Alright, I'm Sifu Mike. Take it easy.